Japan has introduced an initiative by the Ministry of Education, Policy, Social, Culture and Technology, which is the MEXT in short, has introduced a G30 initiative. So under the G30 initiative, the idea is and the vision is to incorporate or onboard 30 universities, 30 Japanese universities, which will focus on internationalization because they have their typical policies, typical rules and regulations. So if somebody is looking to study finance, they should look at other countries, not Japan standalone. But apart from that, Japan has this category of visa. So if you're applying for engineering programs, so your work visa will be a work E-visa, E for engineers. If you're applying if you've studied humanities in a particular universities or programs related to humanities, the category would be H.
Hello everyone. Welcome to another podcast at GyanDhan. Today we are going to talk about something we have never talked about in the past. And it's something very new for us as well at GyanDhan. In fact, it is very new to entire study abroad industry. Today I have invited Miss Sheenu Kathuria, who has been running EduNation, a study abroad consultancy, for more than 4 years now. And before that, she was working for 7 years with Australian High Commission in different missions. We are going to talk about Japan, how Japan is becoming the upcoming study abroad destination. Who should go to Japan? Why you should go to Japan? How is life going to be there? What are the employment opportunity? What are the visa do's and don'ts? All of that we are going to cover in next 30 minutes. So both of us, you and me, are going to learn a lot about what is happening with the Japan as the study abroad destination. First of all, Sheenu, thank you. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you, Aman, for inviting me again.
Right. And we are doing it for the third time.
Yes, this is our third discussion.
With GyanDhan.
That's right.
And the other two discussions went very well, I think.
Amazing they were. Amazing, really beneficial. And I think we were able to share some good information together. So I look forward to the same today.
Yeah, for sure. So in fact, in one of our earlier videos, people have requested that can you do one podcast on Japan? And that's where this entire conversation started. And we thought that who would be better person than you to come and, talk about it. So I'll first start with my understanding of Japan. From last couple of years, I have started hearing about its name in the study abroad space. Oh. And I think it is broader level driven by two aspects. One is because the other major destinations are down, be it US, Canada, UK, Ireland. And also there is a lot of development at the government level. So there is a business deal that was signed between India and Japan in last few months. So a lot of deals happening at the diplomatic level as well. Uh-huh. And I think that's the reason why suddenly we have started hearing Japan as the study abroad destination. And I feel in the next 4-5 years, Japan is going to become one of the major destinations for study abroad destination. So first now I want to understand from you that Japan is a study abroad destination. How do I look at it? Like very first glance, let's say a student who is thinking about studying abroad. He has looked at or she has looked at US, Canada, UK, and now suddenly stumbled upon to Japan and looking at this video. What would you say to her or him? Yeah.
Certainly, Aman, as you said, Japan has become the topic of interest over the especially last 1 year, because globally, a lot of countries have put in a lot of changes, whether we talk about the US or Canada, and people are moving towards understanding Japan as a country of, for higher studies. But talking about interest, I would say Japan has always been transnational. Japan has always focused on internationalization. It is not just now after Indian government welcoming or Japan welcoming. No, it's not recent. It goes back to 1967. So Japan, so I say this from personal experience, they have a foundation called the Soka Gakkai Foundation. It's a Buddhist foundation, a Buddhist organization. And that was the time when, in fact, 1930, I would say, they laid this, the foundation for talking about humanity, peace and education. Education worldwide. Today, the country talks about these three aspects in 192 different countries. So the history is huge when we talk about Japan. And the first few thoughts that cross our mind whenever we think of Japan is the beauty, the cherry blossoms and good culture, right? And the second major thing is technology, right? We know that we have the major giant brands for automobiles, the manufacturers being the giants in Japan. So what's been happening now, though, is we talk about anime as the talk of the town. Every child is aware of anime. Anime is animation in Japan, and but anime again dates back to many years. So now the awareness is picking up. For a reason, of course, our business is perception based, as we know. So earlier, Canada used to be equal to a study abroad destination. After a lot of restrictions, we are trying to look at tasting other waters. So I would say it is a very good option. Wouldn't say an option. It is a wonderful destination from a lot of aspects. And I would want to throw some light around what aspects are imperative. However, Japan is more to do with just anime. It is more to do with just automobile, and that's important to understand. The reason why now is because Japan has introduced an initiative MEXT by the Ministry of Education, Policy, Social, Culture and Technology, which is the MEXT in short, has introduced a G30 initiative. So under the G30 initiative, the idea is and the vision is to incorporate or onboard 30 universities, 30 Japanese universities, which will focus on internationalization. When I say this, what that means is these universities will specifically be picked wherein they would be focusing on all English taught programs, whether undergrad or postgrad, including PhD. There would be easier admission criteria, relatively easier. Of course, there won't be many waivers, but of course, easy admission criteria. They would also be focusing on waiving the entrance test. So when we apply for a Japanese admission, the students are generally till date required to take an admission test, an entrance test. So under the G30 initiative, the universities that will be a part of G30, 30 universities, students will get a waiver for that entrance test. Japanese language will not be mandatory. My suggestion would be it is very good, and it would be a plus point if students learn, because adaptability becomes easier. Now, G30, another good thing about the G30 initiative is it would be a blend of public universities, national universities of Japan, and private universities. So they're not focusing on state universities because of funding and budget constraints. But since government universities, national universities are supported by the government, private universities are cash rich. So this would be the combination under G30. Till now, 13 universities have been onboarded, 7 national and 6 private universities. Now, when we talk about, so this is one reason. G30 is going to be really a huge milestone in many international students getting admissions to the top ranked universities, and many national universities of Japan are amongst the top 100 ranked universities, globally under QS. So, of course, I would say very beneficial. Now, when we talk about subjects, or if we say what verticals should students look at, it is not necessarily only one vertical. There are about, the students can look at AI, IT and, computer sciences. They can look at management. There are few universities excellent with MBA, management, BBA and MBA programs. Then international sciences. I'm talking about Japan's impact on Asia. So international relations. One more thing which Japan is getting very, very strong to reduce carbon footprint is biosciences, tech, sustainability, green tech initiatives. So very good verticals. For one subject that I would say students who are in that particular line of study may not want to look at Japan is finance, because they have their typical policies, typical rules and regulations. So if somebody is looking to study finance, they should look at other countries, not Japan standalone. But apart from that, tech, international relations, humanities, business and green and sustainability, of course they they should.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons.
Makes sense. So when I look at it top down, I first want to understand the job market, right? Because for any student who is planning to study abroad, the ultimate goal is to, get a job and, settle there. And at the start, you mentioned that there are broader level 2 industry. One is anime, other is automobile, right? So if I just from the first principle thinking point of view, think around it. So people from background like mechanical engineering, maybe chemical, such civil engineering, these are the people who can go. And then on the other hand, if I talk about anime, people with graphic designing background,
Yes, animation,
film industry
graphic,
background.
yes, visual VFX,
Right.
animation,
Right.
and mechatronics,
Right.
civil engineering, computer sciences. Must look at it. The job market. See, I'll tell you why. From a demographics point of view, the population of Japan, the natives, right? So a very low birth rate. Has always been. With Japan, it has always been a very important case scenario. And the mortality rate is also low. So the life expectancy is very, very high. So the percentage of people above the age of 50, I would say, is increasing. And by 2040, Aman, there is a projection that the labor shortage would rise up to about 11 million. So for Japan to open up to international students, for them it is a need as well. And for us, it is opportunity. Till about May 2024, as per a recent data by JICA, it's a government body. There are till date about 1,800 Indian students, not international. The total is about 2.5 lakhs, but Indian students 1,800. If we take a projection for the next 5 years, and if I take a very base case scenario of 20% hike, 20% appreciation, we can expect about 15,000 Indian students in the country and across these industries and verticals. So, and this is a very base case scenario wherein we're looking at absolute moderate admission criteria, good scholarships, not very aggressive, good scholarships, waiver of the entrance test, and all these universities, Kyoto University, University of Tokyo, or Kumoku, all of these, and in fact the private universities, they're open. So yes,
I think I resonated with that point the most, where you are saying that the aging is one of the factor, the population is one of the factor that people with older generation, they are increasing, younger generation is not there, so they need India on the other side of the spectrum where we have more young people for them. Yeah, that I think that makes sense. So we mentioned it again. You mentioned that people from, so this I'm trying to make sense that mechanical, civil, chemical, this kind of people can make career there. Graphics, graphic designing, film, anything related to that. What about industries? You also mentioned management, and you have given clarity on finance. Finance you shouldn't go, but management and AI and software in general. Why would somebody go to Japan for this, specifically for management and for AI?
Japan has actually, if you look at it, has been very subtle in its approach, but Japan, even today, when we talk about it, as a country, it's 30 years ahead of many other countries, at least 20 to 30 years ahead. Not just technology, they have created leaders. So, as now there comes a culture. Japan as a culture is very subtle. They will never be very pompous. You will never find them as a center of a particular place. But they have created leaders, and that comes from the system of education. Right? So that's why the universities are amongst the top 100 or top 200 ranked universities globally. We're talking about global ranking here. We're talking about the Kwakari-Simmons. It's not just within Japan or within Asia, right? So that's one of the reasons, because the faculty accreditation, the level of education, and the exposure that students will get, whether they go for management, AI, of course, because technology is brimming out there, in the country. When we talk about creating leaders, understanding management as a subject, because that's more skill orientation, it can be replicated by the name of the country easily. That's one. Second, I would say, as a country, they are offering a lot of flexibilities for students, international students, where every country is offering 20 hours per week as part-time work week. Japan is the only country which is offering 28 hours per week, which are part-time work rights, right? Having said that, they are not giving you a post-study work permit of 2 to 3 years.
Acha, okay.
Right?
That I was not aware of.
No. So, how Japan, so they want to take baby steps. They've always done it slow, but they've done it with extreme finesse. That's what Japan is all about. They would not rush it through. So what they've done is, after a student graduates, whether after a bachelor's or a master's, you get a 6 months of job hunting visa, or a designated activities visa, as we call it. So that's the name given to it. Now you get those 6 months to look for jobs, or look for opportunities. And if you're not able to find a job for any reason, you can extend that up to another 1 year maximum. Extendable only once.
So you have 1.5 years to find the job.
But to extend, you have to show that you've done some activities. Right. You've applied, you've put in some effort to look for opportunities.
Which should be fine for the genuine students.
Right. So 18 months, which is a good enough time. And as we spoke about the age disparity, they are welcoming. So while seniors, we expect we cannot expect our aged people to change mindsets. Yeah. It's the same there as well. Yeah. However, they understand what is the need.
Yeah.
So they know that while we are aging, we would want that cultural preservation, but they know that international talent will bring in more economic growth. So they're open to getting international talent. So is the case with middle-aged people. They're very, very open about the idea. And young generation is so connected with social media today that I think they're indirect friends already amongst other countries. So yes, so that's the work.
If you get a job in this 6 months or 1.5 years, then you have the visa to be there, like?
Absolutely. So there are 3 levels of, Japan has this category of visa. So if you're applying for engineering programs, so your work visa will be a work visa, for engineers. If you're applying if you've studied humanities in a particular universities or programs related to humanities, the category would be H. If you've studied international relations or other management services, your category of visa would be I. It's EHI. These are work visas, and you can continue to work on that work visa once you've gotten a sponsorship from the employer. This leads to permanent residence also. So Japan is open to giving you residence options. Then there is a skill shortage visa as well. So, they need people. So there are some skill shortage lists like health workers, caregivers, then agriculture as a field. So there is one particular vertical which focuses on skill shortage categorically. That also leads to permanent residence. Terms and conditions apply. Dependents can go in tier 1 category. They cannot go in a tier 2. So we can always, talk about details. But I would say, all in all, it's receptive. And once the student is able to find a job within that 18 months tenure, after extending, work permit is not tough. So they can convert but they have to convert it to a work permit. They cannot go on one visa.
Got it. So now, maybe, so in a way I'm convinced that, Japan can be a destination for somebody. Yes. Specifically for people in the industries, right jobs and right mindset. What is the process? Like, what are the different intakes? So usually we have seen that to the major destination, there are 2 or 3 different intakes. And what is the process of applying? Because you mentioned there is some admission test as well.
Yes.
So if somebody is looking to, let's say, explore in details about Japan, what framework do they need to follow in terms of first shortlisting university, and before that, intake-wise, shortlisting university, and then the process?
So major intake remains around the fall time. So that's September, October, November. They do have a winter intake, as we say, in that starts in April, because that's the time. But March is when the admissions and the students start going in. And when we talk about criteria, it's simple. It's simple, but there are requisites. When I say simple, in terms of paperwork, so you submit your academics, you submit your IELTS. IELTS is a requisite. English language testing is required. As I said, I strongly recommend learning Japanese. If the students are applying under G30, they may not be required to take that entrance test under the list of universities which fall under G30. If they are applying to other universities, there is a Japanese entrance test. It would be subject to the study program that the student is enrolling into. There may be basic entrance tests, so that's there. But J30 is cream, I'd say. And there is no reason why we should not focus on that, because that is the purpose of them coming up with this concept. More scholarships, easier criteria, a good academic record, and more international students intake. So that's one. An excellent thing about Japanese universities, national, state and private, is the tuition fee.
Okay.
Japan has low tuition fee.
Okay.
Across all these three, even the private universities in Japan are relatively less costly if I compare it with the UK, if I compare it with Australia, if I compare it with any country, they are less costly. I won't say cheaper, less costly. However, the reverse is the living expenses are slightly on the higher side, still not as high as many big four countries, I would say. So in INR, if I can say the living cost wherein we ask a student to show funds availability for the UK up to 12 lakhs, 13 lakhs, Japan it is under 10 lakhs for 1 year. I'm talking about major cities.
Right.
On an average, it is 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs in Tokyo, Kyoto, major big cities. And tuition fee for a public university ranges between 3 to 5 lakhs per annum. And the highest that we can actually stretch up to, even if I'm talking about a private university, in INR, not more than 15 lakhs. That's the maximum. Plus, and I'm not even factoring in scholarships right now. We're talking about raw, just the tuition
So this
fee.
is per annum, right?
Per annum, right? So that is another welcoming reasons for students, especially when we look at profiling in India, we see that cost is a factor that most parents, from a loan perspective, they look at. So, that's competitive, that's good. Admission criteria is simple. The financial assessment is done at university stage. This is similar to what happens in Australia. So we submit all financials to the university after the student gets an offer, and then they do the financial assessment. What they give to you is a certificate of eligibility. So in Australia, it's called COE,
right.
Confirmation of Enrollment. Here also it is COE, Certificate of Eligibility. So all you have to do is, once you get the certificate of eligibility, you take your passport, the rest of the documents. It's an online application. You apply for your visa. It takes about 3 weeks for a student to get a Japanese study visa. And one simple piece of information, in most countries that we apply to, enrollment is required to be done before the student leaves the country, leaves India. Here, you get your visa, you reach your university, that's where you need to enroll. So why they are doing all of this? See, we need to understand one more thing. There is no desperation. Of course, there is a need of manpower. Japan will never compromise on quality. So we should not think that this is just another destination and this is going to fetch us instant gratification. No, they're going to be very, very due diligent, having talked about all these things. So we need to make sure that we ensure brevity. And as far as aligning programs is concerned, as we do, we profile a student's academic record and achievements and then align programs across universities. There are specialist universities for programs, but broadly, almost every university has major departments: tech, management, international relations, and extreme quality, I'd say, even private universities.
And then students can go and work along with their study. You mentioned
28 hours per week. Yes.
So then they are able to, I'm assuming they will be able to earn enough to cover their living expenses.
Yes. And these days, I would say that Japan is also picking up, if I can say, around tourism, hospitality. So huge work opportunities. Tech is, of course, there, I'd say. And see, industry is one thing. When we look at other countries, we focus on industry. Here, we also cannot negate the age factor. And that's a given fact that they have senior people,
Aging
which is a
right,
very
right,
high percentage, and working professionals are really, really low on percentage for as far as the natives are concerned. So that cannot be ignored. We cannot ignore.
Got it. And visa approval rate, any idea in that direction?
See, when we, as consultants and as, counselors, we don't guarantee visas. But being a visa of, being worked with Australian High Commission, having worked there, and I can say that once you get a COE from a university, AL level university in Australia, a visa is guaranteed unless it's like a major issue or something.
So here also is the same.
the case with Japan.
You get the COE.
Because the university assesses the financials, and of course the academics are being assessed, financials are being assessed. You get a certificate of eligibility. There is no reason for a student not to get a visa. However, we still need to be very, very clear in what we are presenting to the High Commission, of course, with a proper statement of purpose.
And so if I just look at the framework, so we've established that Japan as a country, it's a tech first company, booming industries, aging population, so youth required, thus the job opportunities are naturally should be there. Then easy process, admission process, especially with this G30 universities initiative by their government, MEXT.
Yes, MEXT, yes.
Right. and then the visa process is also easier. Got it. So all checkbox, and then even the PR is easier, as you mentioned.
Yes,
that
they have a
if
pathway
you get
to
a
PR.
job, 6
Absolutely.
months, then even 1 year extension in the PR. Okay, got it.
Pathway to PR, yes.
Pathway to PR.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
ठीक, I got the understanding, and I'm sure viewers as well. What kind of students would you recommend to go to Japan, right? Let's say a student comes to you, right? Bachelor's, master's. Now you as a counselor, I'm sure you have good opportunities, good colleges in Canada, UK, Australia, Ireland, Germany, Europe, and now then comes Japan. So how do you, as a counselor, will recommend that, okay, hey, this student should go to Japan?
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful question. I'll tell you why. Because students today, whether we talk about a school student or somebody who's in college looking for post-graduation, since we have so much access to social media, OTT, when we talk about Japan, see, you and I and people from the industry, we would talk about Japan because of an economic reason. You know, students and parents, especially parents, I would say, they may not know why their child wants to go to Japan. Now, when I talk to a student will say, because there's anime, because there is a Nissan, or there is a Toyota or a Honda, you know. So awareness is important. So the kind of students that I would recommend are who are brilliantly clear around why is it that because Japan, see, there would be other challenges. While it is a welcoming country, while it is brimming with opportunities, age factor, our lifestyle, our eating habits,
right. Very
course,
different.
You know, very different. Temperature. And then prone to a lot of calamities as well. You know, the neighboring areas and volcanoes and eruptions. So, plus time zone.
Yeah.
Right? It is the land of the rising sun, but here the sun sets at that time. So, you know, time zone difference. That's for parents also to understand. So, it should not just be a momentary fascination that, you know, oh, I watched Naruto, or, you know, so no, that should not be the fascination. Hence, counseling is very important. So, and I'd say tier 2 cities are still unaware of Japan, so we need to create that awareness, but we need to understand students who are really focusing on engineering side, and they have actually checked why not the US for engineering, why not the UK for programs related to what they're interested in, or for that matter Europe, you know, as a market for automotive, and why not Germany?
Right.
You know? So once we, whether if they've not done the homework, we are supposed to handhold them and guide them. And I would say, to begin with, the percentage of absolute clear students who want to go to Japan would be really, really low. You know, the interest will start picking up. You know, when we see some movement happening, as I said, there are just about 1,800 students till date, as per May 2024 data. So 2025, 26, the next 5 years projection is about 15,000 students average. So those 15,000 students, and out of those, there may be students who are focusing on language studies as well. You know, Japanese culture, language studies. So we can actually reduce this percentage to another 12,000 students remaining, 3,000 for language studies. So the kind of students will need to be filtered, will need to be made aware with, you know, information, culture, economy. I was reading an article wherein they said Japanese, they don't sit with international students in metros together. That's not the case. Japanese people maintain low key. You know, personality.
Actually, that was going to be my next question, because I have read a lot about racism in general at Japan. Have seen some videos as well, and we already talked about the cultural differences.
Yes, so Japan is not a racist country, and I can say this. See, when you know, when we started the discussion, I spoke about the Buddhist organization. Since 1930, Japan has been an advocate of world peace, humanity, and imagine it's been there since decades. So it is etched in people. And so, but then Japanese as people, they're very subtle. They will not be indifferent to you, but they will not voluntarily open up to you. So you may be sitting side by side, but they will not start a conversation, but they do not dislike you. They maintain a low profile. You can say that they are very, very introvert. But once you start talking to them, and they do not carry any perception, they will start talking once, you know, you would want to talk, but primarily only if they connect for a particular reason. But it's nothing to do with racism, not in Japan. And the corruption ratio is negligible in the country. I shouldn't be saying this, but the corruption ratio is negligible because there are not many international students till date. Because we have seen when population becomes diverse, and when mindsets don't match, there are difference of opinion and clashes happen. Till date, Japan has maintained that sanctity, and there are very less international population out there. Now that we would be, getting into, and they would be growing their pastures for inviting new people, there may be a difference of, but they take us very highly. Honestly, from the data and from the details that I have read through, Indian students are actually accepted with very high respect.
Wow.
I cannot vouch for all other international students, but Indian students are taken as adaptable, conversation-wise, since English is the bridge as a part of the communication, well-spoken, intelligent, especially in the field of technology, and they are actually taken as very considerate and humane. So, and Japan-India has been very pleasant, recently there was a symposium that was conducted for world peace at BEE Ahmedabad, and, Soka University was in India, and this happens regularly. So there is an organization for Soka Gakkai in India which is called the Bharat Soka Gakkai. I'm a Buddhist. I practice Lotus Sutra. I'm a part of the same body, so I can vouch for it. So that's why the relations are cordial. There is no racism. Students are safe over there, and they can be safe. So if from a parent's point of view, we see that is it a safe country? Yes, it is safe. It is safe, it is progressing, it will give the student a good lifestyle. The only thing is we need to look at factors that are adaptability based. Food, as we spoke about, climate, time zone. Otherwise, there is no racism. As I said, Japanese, they maintain that 2 feet distance, but they don't dislike you. They would want to stay in their zone, but they know that they need people from outside of their country to grow economy. Hence, they are open to that thought and idea.
Makes sense. So I am particularly very excited about Japan, and we at GyanDhan have been talking about the education loan options for Japan. We've done quite some research. Obviously, the financing options are limited as of today. Only for few universities, very strong profile. But I'm sure as we get educated more on the ROI aspect of it, which we'll know once more students go there and so on and so forth, the financing will also become easier.
Yes.
I think we have covered a lot, all aspect of it. Altogether, compared to all the emerging destination that I see, a lot of European countries also are coming up these days. I can say that Japan, basis this discussion and this inputs, is right there at the top among the emerging destination. It is equivalent to the top of others. Like I'm hearing a lot about Dubai these days. So does Japan. So had a lot of discussion on Dubai, but no discussion on Japan. But now, after hearing about it, yes, I think Japan is something.
It is. It can be definitely looked at as all aspects good country. Right. As I said, students need to be very clear about their vision, and if they are not clear, it is our duty to give them that clarity that it should not just be out of fascination. Yeah. It should be out of a purpose and a clear goal, a pathway.
That's true for any destination.
As well, right? But mostly at times what happens is there is access to information from most countries. You're absolutely right, because I came across few students last year. They said, I only want to go to Ivy League, but they don't know what an Ivy League is. They were 8 football teams, So we do a Google search and we just want to go to dream. So information is important, knowing is important. And yes, if they have a clear vision, Japan can be one of the top destinations for Indian students and international students, for sure.
Right. Also, I would like to highlight here that if anybody is looking for help in admissions, be it Japan or any other country out there, we GyanDhan are working with EduNation and Ms. Sheenu, and we can help you combined with the right mentor and then admission to the right university and then with the right loan. So ultimately, in this partnership between EduNation and GyanDhan, you get end-to-end service, more focused on admission by Sheenu and Sheenu's team, and more focus on loan and other aspect of the journey by GyanDhan and GyanDhan's team. With that, thanks a lot. I hope this was helpful.
Thank you and wish you all the best. Thank you, Aman. Thank you so much. Thank you.